Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to sew these corset loops. So let's get into this. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is get the corset loops we made in the previous video. The link is in the description. Next, stitch your seam allowance on your center back. My seam allowance for woven fabrics is a 1/2 inch. From there, take your lining and sew your seam allowance on top. Then iron the top of the fabric so it's pressed nicely. Next, sew about 5 stitches of the seam allowance on the bottom right here. You will see why in a second. When it comes to ridgeline boning, don't sew it directly on the top. If you do that, it will give you a problem when it's time to turn the lining inside out. So what we're going to do is go down 1/4 from the top and 1/4 up from the bottom seam allowance. From here to here is where we're going to stop. Measure the corset loops, then cut it off right here. To make sure you're cutting it correctly, right on it like this. Next, take the ridgeline boning and put it right next to the white stitch. Not on top of it, but right next to it. I like to use these clips sometimes so it doesn't move when I'm sewing. Once you sew it, this is what it looks like in the front, and this is the back. Sew it one more time right here so that it's secured. Then put both fabrics together and sew right on top of the white stitch. Sew it twice. I like to stitch it twice because I want to make sure that it's secured and the client doesn't have any problems lacing it. Whenever you are closing the center back and you're not putting bias tape on the top and bottom, then you will need an opening somewhere to turn the fabric inside out. The opening can be either on the side, the bottom, or at the bust cup lining. For more structure, I like to put plastic boning inside with the ridgeline boning. In order to do that, you will have to sew a casing. This seam allowance is a 1/2 inch, so you can sew a 3/8 inch casing here. I use the lighter to burn the corners. Then put the boning in the casing and close it at the bottom. Before you cut the corners, make sure these stitches right here are secured. Sew it 2 to 3 times. So the stitches don't come apart when you turn the corset inside out. This is what the front looks like, and this is the back. For a corset with a lacing bar, you can hide the plastic boning so you don't see it on the lacing bar. This is how you do it. Sew a casing on the lining part. Push the seam allowance this way and sew a 3/8 inch casing. Then sew the corset loops like before and make another 3/8 inch casing where the ridgeline boning is sewn. And this is what it looks like. The lacing bar has no stitches on it. The plastic boning is hidden in the lining and the corset loops. If you would like to learn how to make the corset loops, you can check it out right here. Go ahead and click on that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to practice, practice, practice. Bye, everybody.